fun. We gonna have some fun. Let's see what this is. Let's see. Oh, let's get comfortable real quick, and then we'll get right into it. Yo, what up? What up? It's gonna be quick. It's gonna be a quick one. I ain't gonna stay in y'all way today. I'm gonna let it fill up a little more, and then I'm gonna pop in. What's up? What up? What up? What's good? Yeah, we might be tanking big time. Yeah, 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 yeah. Salute to Cade. Yeah, he out the doghouse. He hooping. He hooping. Look like he changed some things. He changed his diet and all that. But that's not why we here. We here to talk about Chris real quick. But salute to Cade though. The Pistons look good. They added some veterans with their young dudes. Definitely. Yeah, yeah. I gotta start doing more lives. I just realized I made a mistake. That's why I wasn't, capitalizing the way I was supposed to on the lives. But we back up and running. It was good. Yeah, Chris, we gonna talk about it. We gonna talk about Chris. We gonna have some fun talking about Chris. But shout out to everybody. What up? There's enough people for me. I'm not gonna wait till a whole bunch of people come. We good with what we got. We gonna roll with what we got. They could always play it back. Finally got a win. I needed this one. I needed to come home from work and enjoy us being victorious. We got it against Golden State. That's cool. But I'm more interested in this Chris Boucher thing. Because if you remember, we had a little exchange on Twitter Spaces about guys not working. You know what I'm saying? And I'm adamant about guys putting in that pain because you see the results on the court, right? As of late, he been looking real good. And shout out to him. You know what I mean? But is it a case of too little too late with Chris? You know what I mean? Is it because I wished he would have did this 2 years ago. If Chris was able to do this 2 years ago, we might have been able to keep more of that team together. We would have at least been able to keep Pascal. If Chris was hooping like this, it wouldn't have made no, you know what I mean, made no sense to trade off Pascal. We keep him instead of going fully deep into this, into the movement, which right now is, it's a tough pill to swallow. But this Chris situation, it's like it's too little, too late. And yes, he is hooping like this. Looks like an extension of what he did in Tampa. And I kept calling for this because I knew it was possible, and everything changed after that for whatever reason. But to see him perform like this is cool. But does it feel like the window of opportunity for him to stay here is closed? You know what I mean? It just feels that way. It feels like it may be too little, too late for this opportunity, but for the next opportunity, it's probably right on par for what they want him to do. You know what I mean? But my whole thing is, will he be able to produce like this when there's pressure on him? Right now, there's no real pressure on him. And I don't mean pressure as far as the teams, wanting to be successful, but I mean opponents applying pressure physically. Because you know how it is, how he deals with physicality. It doesn't bode well with him. But to see him perform like this, it's a bittersweet thing for me. You know what I mean? Because you always wanted him to play like this, but when he does it, and it's like right now, it's like the worst type of time because now he looks like a great trade piece. And you really don't want to let him go, but you're not trying to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. You're like, all right, he got this good run. He looked valuable. Can we just trade him and see what we can get for him? Or should we keep him for a cheaper price, which he's willing to play for? And will we get this continued performance? So it's kind of like it's so many variables in this situation, but he's looking so valuable that it's the only option is really the first and most important option is to trade him. We might be able to get something younger, who has a little more potential and a little more upside, which is what people like so much. Because no one wants to deal with the reality of an elder statesman who's pretty much defined who he is as a player getting better, which I believe any player in the NBA can get better. It's not very difficult to get better. You only have to improve at one thing. You know what I mean? I think the problem is we've seen everything. We've seen just about everything from everybody. So we're not impressed anymore when guys make improvements. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. This type, yeah, Chris might get us a good draft pick. He's looking valuable and teams may over invest in him or over trade for him. And when Masai ain't gonna turn down no first round pick for Chris. You know what I mean? He ain't gonna turn down no late first round for Chris. And guys don't value, like teams aren't valuing none of these draft picks anyway. Truth is, a lot of the players that are coming into college are gonna be so passive from getting paid in college that they're not gonna be as hungry as you expect them to be when they get to the league. So they might pass on that and go after a veteran. You know what I mean? So to see Chris perform like that, it's like I said, it's bittersweet for me. You know what I mean? You don't, because you kind of don't want, you never want to see everybody go. Like I didn't want to see everybody go. Keep at least one or two guys. You know what I mean? But you keep Chris, and it's like, will he continue to give us this? Most likely not. It's situational. You know what I mean? It's fight or flight. It's one of those he really don't want to go, but he want to put himself in a position where he can go someplace where he can play and still have value. And this is a contract year, which adds another layer to the conversation for him. So it's like, all right, man. You know what I mean? What could he actually become realistically after this point? Because this is an ultimate high for him. You know what I mean? It is. Like this is a big, like at the perfect time, in the perfect opportunity, he's performing well right before a trade deadline. What's going to happen to him? Like nobody knows. You know what I mean? And if we keep him and we don't get this type of performance anymore, we're going to be frustrated. And if we trade him and the other guy doesn't perform, we're going to be frustrated. Like, what if? You know what I mean? But it's one of those weird situations where you damned if you do and you damned if you don't. You know what I mean? But it does look like it's a little too late for him as far as these, like the performance mattering for his future here. I believe he's going to be traded. Other teams want him, and the way he's performing, you kind of want him to keep it up, but you don't know. A lot of these dudes play when they feel like it. I wished he would have did this 2 years ago. I wish Chris Boucher would have performed like this 2 years ago, or at least a year ago. And going into this season on a high, like trading him would have been ridiculously, uncomfortable if we had to. And he came in performing like this last season, going into this season. You know what I mean? But it's frustrating because now once he's gone, that's the end of what used to be. You know what I mean? That's the end of an era. So now you got to rebuild it, and it's going to be tougher because I've been telling y'all for years, those type of people that we had on this team don't exist anymore. Those gritty, like people who've been through some shit. You're not going to see that no more. Everybody is no child left behind. Everybody is coddled. Everybody get a trophy. Everybody's comfortable. We had guys who hated losing, who experienced losses, come in and be hungry. Now we're not getting the same. It may take guys. We got to find another way to motivate these young guys. And Jamal Sheed does need more minutes. Jamal Shed, but his whole thing is defense. So if Jamal Shed is a defensive type of point guard, he's going to have to guard the best point guards in the world every night. Do you think he could do that? You know what I mean? Do you think he can really guard? Do you think it's not about him hating to lose. Can he guard the best point guards every night? That's you're asking a lot. Like the speed and the different complexions of players, and it's a lot. They all play differently. All these point guards in the NBA play differently, and you're telling him, and he wants to guard. His whole thing is defense. If he can't plant his feet and create a foundation for his game defensively, the offense might not be there. I get what you're saying. He has to learn by playing, but in order to give him minutes, you got to take minutes from somebody else. And how does that work for the other person? That's why coaching is, everybody can't coach. Everybody, everybody, that's the toughest part about being a coach. Figuring out what you got and how to use it is very important. But Chris Boucher playing the way he's been playing is phenomenal. You know what I mean? And it's just perfect timing to trade him. But you really don't want to see him go. He's a fan favorite. You really like there's a lot that we're gonna be losing that has nothing to do with basketball with trading Chris Boucher. You know what I mean? He's a vibe. You're not gonna get another player like that. You can hope somebody can produce, but as far as the vibe and being connected to the city, being born in the city, like it's being like it's hard. I don't know. It would be as a GM or executive, it would be hard for me to trade him just from an emotional standpoint. It's easy to trade a player I'm not emotional connected to. I let him go. Like if I don't know you like that, but there's such a relationship. There's so much more relational value here when it comes to Chris Boucher. It's hard to let him go. You know what I mean? But we know that there's no guarantee we're gonna get this type of performance and this type of consistent performances from him ever again. Like you don't know. And I that's what teams invest in. They invest in consistency. You being the best version of yourself consistently. For the price. You know what I mean? And for that price. That's why we're so hard on Scotty. That's why we're hard on, like right now, I'm trying to figure out what's going on with RJ. You know what I mean? Chris needed to start. See, we can't see that's one thing I don't like. Like we keep like there's this part of the culture where we think guys should just be put in the starting lineup just because. We did that with G Money. People kept saying he's better as a starter, but you got to earn the right to start. You can't just come off the bench, go from a bench player to starting just because people believe you'll play better with more minutes. The truth is, especially with G Money, you're going to put up the same numbers you put on the bench as a starter, unless there's some type of iconic jump, which we haven't seen. He averaged 15 points coming off the bench in Portland and 15 points as a starter for Portland. So it's one of them things where you don't want to just give a guy the starting role just because. You know what I mean? It's great in conversation, but it's a little tougher to get that production that you need in order for the team to be successful. I don't think Chris should start. I think him coming off the bench is perfect. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's a bittersweet thing for me. You want to keep somebody, and Chris would be the ideal guy because he's the last one left. But if we can get some good shit for him, we gotta explore that to do what's best for the team. We're already in an interesting space as far as we have personnel, but the coach doesn't really know how to use everybody correctly. We have these moments. Scotty is starting to play more. Thank God he's playing closer to the basket now. So the game is coming to him and it's looking a lot easier, as it should. There's really nobody that can stop Scotty. There's nobody that can guard Scotty. You can't name one player in the NBA that can actually guard him. The closer he gets to the basket, the more unstoppable he becomes. Just about using guys the right way, putting guys in the right position. Like I said with Chris years ago, when Nick Nurse took him away from his spots and just put him in the corner, deep in the corner, it's not his spot. You saw what they did. Instead of him being deep in the corner, they slid him up a little bit more, up the baseline so he could take a more of a straight line three. Then he's back to shooting from the shoulder. Just keep guys in the spots where they're most productive. It's not hard to do. But everybody wants to be a genius. So you want to try something new, and when it doesn't work, it's on the players. We did the right thing by firing Nick Nurse. He misused a lot of the talent and overused a lot of talent and didn't develop enough talent. Now we got a coach, and we got a coach that's adamant about helping the young guys, but there's no real definitive direction outside of that. Like what's the offense? What's the defense? It's just guys that just running up and down the court. We see spurts of certain things, but not enough to hang our hat on as a fan to say this is what we do, this is what we don't. We're just seeing a little bit of everything. And then there's this fantasize next year. Next year we're gonna be better. Nah, I'm an adult. If you don't put, there has to be consistent beads of progress. You know what I mean? It doesn't magically happen like that because as you get better, the rest of the league gets better. And some of those opportunities you got last year, you're not going to get the next year. You know what I mean? So we got to figure out how to get this done. Coach definitely got to figure out how to use that talent. He ain't got no choice. You know what I mean? As much as he wants to show that he's a genius, he has to understand that we just want to win. We don't care who the smartest person in the building is or whose theory it is or whose philosophy it is. As long as we win, that's all we care about. No one gives a shit about whose idea it is. I don't care whose idea it is. I just want to win. I can't stand losing. It's hard to watch a team that has talent and potential lose. It makes no sense. We just gotta see how it plays out. I don't know what their idea of what type of team they're trying to build as far as wanting the new players to come in and old players to leave or whatever it is. We have to have a definitive structure. And right now we don't see it. We just see guys coming to play, but there's no real direction. There's no real feel. Like with the last group, even after guys left after the championship, there was still something we can trust and hang our hat on. And then after that, it just kind of got away from that more and more and more. You know what I mean? And it's going to come down to, is this coach the right coach? Because it can't always be the players. It can't always be on the players. At some point, you got to look at the coach and be like, yo, listen, they need more directives. They need more structure. Because without structure, you can't make use of anybody's talent. And I think that's real important for us. That's why college coaches get the most out of their players. There's structure. No matter what young player they get from all around the country, no matter where he's from, he's walking into a structured situation. And we understand it's a player-friendly league, but when you have a group of young guys, that college approach is more important because they gravitate to that. See, and I hate tanking. I hate the concept of tanking. I hate the concept of tanking. You know what I mean? Everybody has this theory of we should tank. All right, so when do we do the work? When does the hard work get done? Because you're just postponing the inevitable. You're just postponing all of the inevitable. The work has to be done. So if you keep tanking and you keep saying, let's tank and get a draft pick, all right, you get the guy that you want or you get somebody close to it. Now what? There's still work that needs to be done. There's still responsibilities that need to be taken care of. It's never going to be cut and dry simply because you got somebody that looks good on paper. It still has to work and you still have to win. And there's a lot of little things that go in between all of that have to go on right, that has to line up. Like I can't stand the concept of tanking. It creates bad habits. For me, it's passive aggressive quitting. You can't just, if they beat us, they beat us. You know what I mean? But it's frustrating that everybody wants to tank for this mythical reason. And you keep staying in this fantasy, you're never going to get what you want out of it. You know what I mean? It's a frustrating thing. Yes, there has to be a perfect amalgamation of young players and veterans. You can't go too old and you can't go too young. I don't know why we were thinking we can win with a whole bunch of young guys and Scotty being the vet. It sounds good on paper, and it's a great thing for the young kids to talk about in chats and all that. But as far as reality, no, that shit was never gonna work. Not when it only works when you're playing against other young players. When you're playing against a bunch of veteran teams, you're just gonna get smacked around. At least until certain guys leave, but by then your window of opportunity may be gone. You see, that's a perception. Like tanking to get more talented players is all about the perception of the person that you're getting, of the person that's getting the person. You think they're more talented until it's the perception. You think their talent is gonna either mesh well with what we got or have a greater experience at the pro level. It doesn't always happen like that. We're talking 82 games of constant work. And as a young team, every game is important. So you're saying he's going to be fighting and on fire and working at his best for 82 games and the playoffs, and we're going to get the results that we want. That's tough to come by because that's the reality of it. Just saying a player is more talented isn't enough. Is he going to work? Does he know how to use that talent? Can we use that talent? How are we going to use that talent? Can we win with that talent? Sometimes having a more talented player doesn't mean you're going to win. It doesn't mean they're going to enable you to be successful. Did Scotty meet my expectations in year 4? I had no expectations for Scotty this year. I had no real expectations for him. You know what I mean? Because this is a new experience for him. Like being not only being the face, but a franchise player. He's never been a franchise player. Remember, one of the pro players summed it up perfectly. I think it was Gil or one of them. When you have a star-studded team in high school and you come from one of those big programs where everybody's a superstar individually and you come together to form a super team, you create a bunch of role players. And that's the truth. You know what I mean? And that's the super truth. You're going to produce a bunch of role players. And I think that's what they created. They're going to be all great individually in time because they're getting back to who they were before they joined IMG or whatever super team they joined, whether it be, North Carolina, Duke, or whatever. You'll get back to what you were doing before that made you valuable to them. But for a while, it's going to be you caught up in that matrix of being a role player. Right now, Scotty he's snapping out of it a little bit. He's starting to find that it's easier for him to play back to the basket, closer to the rim, to keep the game simple. A lot of the weight is on his shoulders, but he can't play like it. He got to do pretty much what works. Yeah, I agree. Kirk, I agree. It's not realistic to think these young kids are actually gonna create that magic. You got to be able to play basketball in the NBA. Is all about everybody got talent. It's about the fundamentals and how you use them on a nightly basis. It's simple because everybody can run, everybody can jump, everybody can shoot, and you're bringing a young kid into a grown man environment. How much are you expecting him to do? I don't like tanking any more than anybody else. I don't even like the concept of tanking. Like you can't expect somebody to come and save you. There's no more Michael Jordans. There's no more Kobe Bryants. Do you know how hard they had to work to get where they are as far as Michael Jordan and Kobe? Like they didn't just pop up like that. They working. A lot of these kids ain't putting in half of the work. I'm not even talking about Kobe, who I don't think there's anybody in the NBA history that's ever worked as hard as him or Bird. I can't even think about who, like, these kids have no understanding of what that type of work is because they're not seeing it anymore. You're seeing the end product and a little bit of the work from some of these vets. They're not seeing, like, you have to be consumed by that mission of becoming one of the best. You got to give up all of everything. It's not easy to do. All right, if we get a guy like Flag, why would we trade RJ? Like I wouldn't trade RJ because he serves a purpose and he's our soldier. Every team needs a soldier. The Miami Heat got Jimmy Butler. We could have, like, RJ's our show. He's the one that's going to be in attack mode. At all, you need one of those guys that are going to be in attack mode. Some of these guys, especially, one of the things I hate with young people, they have this energy, but it's not directed in the right places all the time. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell every young kid has that fire. Like, for something motivates them to have that fire. But when it comes down to doing something that just feels like work, it's not there. That thing isn't there then. When it's leisure and everybody vibing out, but when it comes to that work, it's not the same effort. It's not the same energy. And if you got a guy like RJ, we got to keep that. I see when it comes to they're talking about RJ's defense in the chat, right? And the rules are so screwed up defensively, especially for guys who can guard in the perimeter a little bit. You really gotta, it's bullshit. Because you gotta go where the ball is. If you notice, when the ball goes to the basket, everybody has to follow the ball. They made the rules. They set we're arguing and debating some shit that they years ago put in place that we can't even have anymore. We all remember what real defense looked like. We all remember the hand checking. We remember all of that. We remember the good old days of basketball. Now it's all about entertainment. And the most entertaining thing is the three-point shot. If you force everybody to follow the basketball, there's more three-point shooters open. And that's what the kids want to see. That's what the fans want to see to a certain extent, right? The long ball. If you playing defense and you know the right thing is to stay with your man and play the passing lane, they force you to move out of that passing lane towards the basket, towards the ball, and now he can make that pass easily. If you notice, there's not a lot of steals as far as when a pass is being made because everybody's out of position. So you might not, and as far as guarding someone man to man, one-on-one, if he has half a step on you, you got to let him go by you or they're going to call that foul. They're not going to allow you to really defend and bump a little bit like you should be able to get him out of his beat of that line of attack. You got to let him go almost. That's why you see a lot of guys going to the layup and they're laying it up. Everything is in one hand because they don't have time to gather. It's because you got to give them that step and they're rushing to get to the basket to lay it up. If you can bump them and then they put out, they use a counter, then they could gather themselves and lay it up. But 9 times out of 10, they know you have to let them go by. That's why you see so many rush layups. Those funny looking fucking layups that I hate. If you laid the ball up like that, we would never pick you. You're not playing with us. If you listen, that's when defense was being played though. Like right now, you really can't play defense. You know what I mean? So I would give RJ a little bit, you know what I mean, some grace when it comes defensively. Because come on, how much more could he do defensively, realistically? Because he can't, like nobody could play defense. Shit, Patrick Beverly pretended to play defense to the tune of $100 million. He's never played no real defense. You can't really stop anybody, especially somebody that could hoop, that could score. You can't stop nobody realistically. Everything defensively, like I had to look the rules up. Last year I was so angry. I looked the rules up and I found out you can't guard nobody man to man. You got to move when the ball moves. I mean, move. If it don't look like you're intentionally moving towards the ball, wherever the ball is, that's how they're able to skip the passes over. You think they would have been able to do that shit in the 80s and 90s? Hell no, they was in the passing lanes. You don't see anybody getting steals in the passing lane anymore. You don't really see anybody getting steals like that anymore. Unless it's like somebody fumbling the ball off the dribble, but getting steals in the passing lane, we don't see that anymore. And they're telegraphing those passes. All right, what player would I want? I don't know. Because it still comes down to how are we going to use them? Like, when you have certain players, let's say we got Scotty. How does coach use that and then use everything according to that is more important to me than what player we get, because the coach still has to use that talent. We have, like, if you're going to have young players, you got to have structure so that everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing within the system and they understand that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know what player we want. Oh, Zion. Nah. If we get Zion, he's going to outshine Scotty. And he's definitely going to win over the fan base. And Scotty has too many skills to let slip away right now. I mean, that RJ and Zion back together it sounds great. It sounds great. It's entertaining. It's definitely entertaining. If we can keep Scotty within all of that, then we got something. We got something interesting. Because we got a finisher. We got another guy that could attack the basket. And then Scotty is starting to use that jump shot, that jump hook. He's using a lot of skills around the basket, thank God, that are going to open up a lot of passing lanes for him. Zion, if we don't have to give up Scotty for Zion, I guess it'll work. See, we do need a big. I like Yak. See, everybody want to get rid of Jakob You're like, why are we trying to get rid of my man? Jakob is outplaying that contract. It's just that if he's not getting fed, and he's an efficient player, so he's not going to call for the rock 18 times. He'll shoot his 10 shots, get about 14, get us 12 rebounds. That's cool. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. For $80 million, and we weren't even expecting for him to be the sixth best rebounder in the NBA, but he is. He's doing this thing. But if we do get a big, it better be somebody that could really get busy. Either he could be a rebounder and a shot protector or a rim protector, or somebody that can get us buckets. Got to be one of those if it's going to be a big. And a two guard, we got Grady Dick. I like Grady as our two. I agree. Scotty does have to step up every game. I think he don't understand how important it is for him to play at his best. And it's hard sometimes for young players to even conceptualize what that means to be a franchise player in the face. And I think, honestly, he's the face of the franchise, but I don't think he's our franchise, like the franchise player we need him to be. He can be the face. He's just not the franchise player. That's cool. You know what I mean? We're paying for what we're getting. And he does cry. But a lot of the time, he is getting fouled. Because they can't guard him in the post. Like, Scotty can't be. Yo, if you're 6'9", 250, and you know you can't be stopped unless they foul you and you let them get away with fouling me, like, I would be a little annoyed too. I wouldn't let it take me out the game. I would have to figure out something a lot better, which is what he's doing. That fadeaway close to the basket, that jump hook, the pull-up jump shot. He's finding ways to work around that, which I've been saying for a few years that he should have been doing that, working his game inside out as opposed to outside in. It works better. He's a point forward, not a point guard. And he could get us 24 a game. I believe it's easy for him to score 20. That's only 6 points a quarter. He can do that easily, and he don't have to be an incredible scorer. Hell, LeBron isn't a good shooter, but he can score. And he figured out how to score 27 a night on average or higher. He's getting opportunities. Scotty's going to get opportunities to average 24, 25 a game. Doesn't mean he's a phenomenal scorer. He just means he's productive scoring. That's going to open up passing lanes and opportunities for him to grab rebounds easily without taking risks. Oh, that's crazy. Let me see. The only thing that's spoken. Yeah, I'll give him that. I'll give Chris Boucher credit. His play is what we've been wanting off the bench for years. Well, I wish he would have did this when Nick Nurse was here. You know what I mean? I wish we would have got this as an extension from, the bubble. But the true reality is Scotty came and Scotty took up those minutes, but he was still getting opportunities off the bench. As a guy of his, like, at his age, he should know to stay ready. We were seeing some juvenile mistakes from him and Precious Achiuwa. And it looked like they weren't prepared like they should have been prepared. And now he's not playing as fearful. He's real fearless. And that's what he should have been. He should have been able to take it to the basket sooner. I had a big-ass argument with somebody on Twitter Spaces last year about the potential of Chris. And I was saying he can go off the dribble and he can pull up. Nah, he can't do that. He ain't going to never learn that. Dude, he has the same build as Kevin Durant. That's all I saw. He has the same mechanics. Look at his body, how he moves and how he dribbles. It's similar to Kevin Durant's. So all you got to do is put the work in. I would just imitate Kevin Durant's game if I was Chris Boucher. That's all I would have did. As soon as I saw Kevin Durant, we look kind of built, kind of slim, lanky. I'm going to get mine off just like he get his off. I may have to move closer to the basket because he's 7 foot. I'm 6'8", 6'9", but I would have just imitated everything Kevin Durant is doing. And now he's doing everything that I said he could do. Me and this dude had an argument on. I wish I'd have kept the Twitter Spaces. That shit was crazy. Just like when I said OG was going to be able to do certain things. Now he's doing it. He got OG Anunoby got the easiest job in the NBA right now. He got $200 million to chill. He don't really have, all he got to do now is stay healthy. He had a 40-point signature game, and now all he got to do is stay healthy for the playoffs and perform a little bit in the playoffs, and that contract is valid. KD is a little bit stronger, but he had to put the weight on. But it's just that KG knows how to use his height. He'll pull up over everybody. He'll get by you off the dribble. If Chris had a better Chris proved last night he can go off the dribble. The last few games he proved he can go off the dribble. All he needed was a pump fake and go right by whoever and pull up. That's it. 2 dribbles, pull up. 1 dribble, pull up. Like there's no real reason. If you're 6'9" and you're in the perimeter, there's no reason for you to be stopped by anybody. The only thing that's stopping you is you. You should be unstoppable in this NBA. I understand. Oh, okay. I don't feel like Scotty checked out. I don't feel like he's the face of the franchise, which is magnificent. But as far as him being that franchise player that we accustomed to seeing, nah, he's not that. He's not the franchise guy with like the Kobe's and the LeBrons and the KDs and the KGs and all these guys that we've seen that were the franchise player that had that. There's a different mentality and a different level of daily passion. Scotty is more of I spoke about it years ago. He's the hope for that kid who can do a little bit of everything, who's great at just being a complete ball player, but he's caught in this space where everybody, like the smaller guys, are getting all the shine. All the guards, there's not too many power forwards that play how he plays. It's not a lot. You know what I mean? The only guy that you see, the only 2 guys you see that play kind of like he plays is LeBron and Giannis. So he's nowhere near their level. So he's kind of caught in the matrix because he's not getting, that same type of appreciation at times. And he's getting the tougher defenders because they're used to playing that against the better prototypes of what he is. So he's caught in this weird dynamic where he just has to learn how to use whatever parts of his game we need for us to win. And he may not be appreciated. He may not get the limelight at times, but I think he might not want it. He might not want to be that popular. He might just want to do his job and handle his business. We don't know, but we keep putting him on his pedestal. He might not want that. He might just want to hoop and find his way. But we put him in this space where, you're the face of the franchise. You're the franchise player. We need you to produce like those guys. Right now, he can't. He's going to need a little bit more help. And I think that's better for the team because there's never going to be an NBA ever again where you could rely on one guy to carry a team as far as we saw other guys carry teams. It's going to take a team effort. There's too much information and the game has evolved. But, somebody has to be the face. Somebody has to be the franchise guy. Somebody has to have that title. But, sometimes it just don't pan out like that. He's the type of player that would be the great assistant to that guy. You know what I mean? Whoever that guy is, Scotty Barnes would be the perfect +1. Perfect. But he's in a space where he has to be the man, and there has to be a certain temperament. And he doesn't take everything as personal. When we saw him take it personal was that Brooklyn game. He had a bad game before that Brooklyn game. You could tell he read the comments and he took things personal the next game. That's very hard to keep up. It's hard to take things personal and keep that energy up. You got to be petty as fuck, and you got to be damn near a maniac. You know what I mean? And he's not that. He's just a nice guy. He's not the villain. He doesn't have that in him yet. He hasn't lost. You know what it is? Scotty Barnes hasn't lost enough in basketball yet. He's been successful just about everywhere he's been. Maybe this may be the experiences that he might need to get into that mode, but we're running out of time. Definitely running out of time. See, we can't see he can still end up being that guy, yeah. But the window of opportunity is closing for him to be a franchise guy. Like we put him top draft pick, franchise guy. Those are hard to come by, especially now because these kids aren't coming from a situation where basketball is everything to them. Basketball for a lot of these kids is something that they do. You know what I mean? So it's not a big part of his identity. You know what I mean? Where if he's not a great ball player, when he leaves basketball, he's not looked at as a cool person. People love Scotty because Scotty is Scotty. He has a genuine nature that people are drawn to and they like. You know what I mean? Most guys that I met from Florida, that I hung out with and chill with, and I know people from his area, West Palm Beach, they cool as shit. Cool. And they're not coming from a competitive environment. They cool. Everybody cool. There's going to be some drama at times, but for the most part, guys like Scotty are cool with everybody. Loved by everybody. You know what I mean? There's no villain. You know what I mean? Kobe was a villain. Niggas ain't like Kobe. Niggas ain't like Mike. At one point, the whole league hated both of them. At one point, the whole league hated Mike. And at one point, the whole league hated Kobe. They had to fight through that. That's what created the villain. There's no real hate for Scotty. Scotty don't have to fight through that. You know what I mean? So, Scott, yeah, you're right. Scotty's never going to score 30, like 35. He don't have to. As long as it accumulates, as long as he gets the points and assists and it becomes that as far as numerics, as long as he could produce that, he don't have to score it. Like he can get us 24. There's no reason why Scotty can't average 24 a game. That's only 6 points a quarter. There's nobody that can stop him. You know what I mean? Appreciate it. That's 6 points a game. That's 6 points a quarter, and that's all he needs. He can do that all day. He's proven that he can do that. He had an easy 23 yesterday, but he can also get us 12 rebounds and 10 assists, or 16 assists, or 14 assists, or 13 assists, in addition to what the point guard does. It's hard to find that. That's one thing that makes him so special. In the land of shooters, in the land of killers, there's nobody that really wants to pass the ball. We used to think Tyrese Halliburton used to be a pass-first point guard. He's not. This motherfucker will put up 23s on you. He just can pass. There's a difference between pass first and can pass. Scotty is a pass first player. You don't see that anymore. That's a major sacrifice. Everybody don't do that. That's hard. You can say whoever you want is pass first. Scotty is a genuine pass first player. Genuine. You are never gonna, especially if you know he can score 25, 26 a game. He don't have to pass shit if he don't want to. He's a pass first. He loves it. How many players you see right now enjoy passing? He enjoys passing the way most players enjoy shooting. That's a fact. To see him be able to still keep that in a space where everybody wants to score and everybody wants to be the man is a beautiful thing, but we have to learn how to utilize that. Yes. Yeah, that is what you would want from a point guard. You want that from any player. But yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here. The kids are coming from school. It's about to be a movie. But yeah, I'm gonna go live again later on the day. I'm off today, so I'll probably go live a little bit later. Probably go on StreamYard and do it that way. But yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. But yeah, Scotty is cool where he is, but I think we put him on that pedestal, and now he has to provide something. And if he can't, then it's going to frustrate some of us. I accept the fact that he's not that guy that we dreamed of, but he can be a key player. You know what I mean? I'm gonna holler at y'all. I'm gonna get out of here. Peace.